director of the ATF, and you can trust me because I'm an avid user of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Not only are we gonna delete this brace ban, but we're gonna turn our sights on the IRS. Fuck taxes!
Oh shit, man, I'm gonna scorch my shorts.
Menthol cigarettes, legal. Let's bring back cigarette sponsorships in the motorsports industry. We lowered the legal smoking age to 7. You don't drink liquor, you're a p***y. A vote for me is a vote for 40% for Loco. This is America. We're taking our freedom back.
I love you.
We have to get help. Hurricane Helene is set to make landfall tonight in Florida and the Tampa area. And guys, it's not looking good. 105-mile-per-hour winds. And look at the name of the hurricane, Helene. Coincidentally, that's my ex-wife's name. Our divorce was finalized this week, and if this thing is anything like her, it's going to take your car, it's going to take your house, it's going to ruin your damn life, all right? Probably both the neighbors too, but I digress. But anyway, guys, I'm sorry to put my air out on the air, but it's been a rough week. And guess what? If you're in this area, right here, the Tampa area, you're going to have a rough week as well. Okay, and by the way, another coincidence, her mom and dad, Helene's mom and dad are from Tampa. So, hey, John, Marge, you're going to feel it too. You're going to feel the wrath of Helene like I have for the past 4 years. It's going to be aggressive. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, if we're lucky, this thing is going to catch some of the illegals that the Biden-Harris administration let in and fling these Mexicans back into Mexico, right? You want to talk about deportation? That'd be the best way to do it. And look at this. Guys, this is not good, all right? Tampa, why the hell are you living in Tampa anyway? Let's be honest. Who wakes up and goes, you know, honey, let's move to Tampa? Helene's mom and dad, that's who. And it's coming, guys. So this thing's going to be aggressive. By the way, I've never even seen purple before. Have we ever seen purple on the show? This is not good. And what the hell is that? This can't be good. You know what that looks like? That right there? That looks like Satan's butthole. And there he is. And if you live there, you're going to feel the wrath, just like how I felt the wrath of Helene. So Robert, Mark, thank you guys so much for raising a daughter that ruined my life. If you're in Tampa, get the hell out. I'm done.
Awesome fucking Foreman.
Did you hear me?
What? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was listening to... What'd you say?
Okay, maybe if I say this nice and slow, then you people will be able to comprehend what it is that I am saying to you.
Oh. It's just me here, but okay.
Because I have my username as Mrs. Christ.
Thanks for doing that part for me. That's nice of you.
You people know that Jesus is God.
You got to clarify that because my brother-in-law is Mexican and his name is Jesus, so...
When two people are married, they are no longer two, but they become one flesh.
Yeah, but like he's with my sister, you know what I mean? Like they just had a baby and everything, so all due respect, I don't think you have a shot there.
But for some silly reason, you people just can't comprehend the fact that...
Wait a second. I think I know where I know you from. You don't happen to have a brother, do you, that used to teach 9th grade?
I am God.
He's like always arguing with his comment section.
I am God.
Yep, definitely related.
The Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, has come from heaven to possess my body.
So did he bring the Parkinson's with him, or is that like something you haven't taken care of yet?
To use my body to execute vengeance and judgment against our enemies.
Well, now it makes sense as to why your brother's so upset all the time. I mean, look how awesome his sister is.
The Lord is already here. Wake it up.
Wait a second, he's asleep? It's not Sunday.
Black power forever.
Awesome fucking Foreman. Awesome fucking Foreman.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Bright.
Then do
available.
and homelessness and all that.
And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
I'm kind of retarded.
Back when I was deciding what I was gonna name this show, I knew that it was gonna end up rubbing some people the wrong way and cause them to get butthurt, but I made a decision.
I don't give a fuck.
For one thing, it's kind of a litmus test. Anybody that wants to sit there and bellyache over my use of the R word. It's funny to me calling it the fucking R word. Another word that's so offensive that we can't even use it in reference to its usage by another person.
Excuse me.
Pussy is showing. Once upon a time, the word was a clinical term used to describe intellectual or developmental disabilities. Of course, it stopped being used as a medical term back in the fucking 80s. But the term's literal definition is simply holding back or slowing down or impeding something. Think fire extinguishers. What do they call that white powder inside? Fire retardant. So when somebody willfully decides to hold themselves back intellectually through what always amounts to apathy, I'm not supposed to call you a fucking retard? When somebody acts like they're crazy or insane, it's okay to still call them demented, even though that is the valid medical term for somebody who is affected with dementia. Although it seems like nobody's even figured it out that that's something they could also be whining about, probably because they're fucking retards. Or what about still using the word hysterical, deriving from or affected by uncontrolled extreme emotion? And once upon a time, this was the medical term for somebody diagnosed with hysteria, typically something that afflicted women, which is where we got the word hysterectomy, because it was believed by some that removing the uterus could cure this affliction. But when people are freaking out and having a panic attack, it seems like we're still allowed to call them hysterical without people whining about how it's misogyny. We're sitting at the precipice of a total collapse of civilization as we know it. But if crying like a little bitch about somebody's insensitive use of the R word makes you feel better, well, have fun with that. And of course, these are the same dipshits that are pushing us to the brink of nuclear war. And when you try to point out, hey, you know, our State Department had a hand in overthrowing their democratically elected government, and then they spent 7 years shelling civilian Russians in the eastern part of the country, oh, well, you're just a shill for Putin, and we can't let him take over Ukraine because then he'll want to take over all of Europe. How am I supposed to respond to that other than,
You fucking retarded scumbag!
It's agents of the exact same military-industrial complex that pushed the WMDs with the fucking yellow cake and aluminum tubes that are now getting everybody okay with, no, we need to defend Ukraine at all cost. And as it turns out, a limited nuclear exchange might not be the end of the world.
How fucking retarded are you?
Well, if not wanting to put that little theory to the test makes me a Russian fanboy, then fine, I'm a fucking Russian fanboy. And I'll tell you one thing, me and all the people that watch this video and couldn't care less about my inappropriate word usage, well, I like our chances of surviving the next few years much more than the chances of dumb fucks like that. And speaking of dumb fucks, the mayor of New York has found himself in hot water getting indicted for corruption charges. Of course, he's going with the didn't do nothing defense, which, okay, it is possible that he actually isn't corrupt. It is possible, although highly improbable. And of course, some people with shit for brains think that this is just further evidence that no one is above the law, and just forget about the fact that all this legal trouble just happened to surface right after he started criticizing immigration policies and the open border. Because that's just a coincidence.
Right?
Right.
And when people try to say that claims that the justice system is being weaponized for partisan reasons are baseless and unfounded, it's a lie by structure. It's a deceptive truth. Because yeah, that's true. Party has nothing to do with what matters is whether you're going along with the program or not. If you decide to go along with the program and then later you want to try to defy your overlords, did he really think they were going to just let that slide? For me, the best part about this situation is that it gave rise to yet another I bet you didn't have that on your 2024 bingo card moment. I know I didn't foresee Andy Cuomo trying to make a political comeback. Old Governor Nipple Rings himself is talking about taking a run at being mayor, which opens up the possibility for the most epic campaign slogan ever: killing grannies and smacking fannies. I mean, shit, it's what you're known for, you might as well run with it. And as much as I was not planning on talking about Diddy this week, other than to maybe suggest setting up a betting pool for which day he ends up committing suicide, well, there's been one thing all along about this story that I really just hadn't been able to make sense of. That is, until I came across this.
It's not baby oil. It's GHB. Who has 1,000 bottles of baby oil? If baby oil was such a big part of all these parties and all the things that Diddy did to his victims, some celebrities would have made a joke about it here and there. We would have heard about it. Especially Chrissy Teigen couldn't be paid to shut her mouth. That bitch would have cracked a joke about it, for sure. I just watched this man's TikTok about how it's not a baby oil. It has to be laced with drugs. So as I'm reading the comments, someone said that's why Jaguar Wright said in one of her interviews at the end, she said blink twice. Blink Twice was a movie with Channing Tatum. He would spray perfume onto women who would make them forget everything. So then somebody else in the comments said, yeah, and GHB is slippery. So I look up, what is it called on the street? Look at the last one, liquid ecstasy. Side effects that include seizures and comas. It was taken off the shelves or something in like the 60s. What is GHB used for in bodybuilding? Performance enhancement additive. What are the positive side effects of GHB? Feelings of euphoria. What is GHB for parents? Usually available as a clear liquid. It's not baby oil. It just makes sense because why would the feds confiscate fucking baby oil? And how do you get so many people to comply besides money? You drug them.
Well, I did a little digging, and believe it or not, there is actually no law, regulation, or statute, whether federal or state, placing any kind of limitation or restriction on how much baby oil you are allowed to possess.
Well, no fucking shit!
But for some reason, the feds found it necessary to seize 1,000 bottles of baby oil. In a world where there is oh so many things that make oh so little sense, this is still a remarkable level of what the fuck? And then in other news, the son of the attempted Trump golf course shooter also found himself in hot water getting arrested for child pornography. Do you remember when the same thing happened to the brother of the guy who shot up the Las Vegas concert? Allegedly! And that's what makes me wonder in cases like this, where it's related to an incident that couldn't possibly be more fucking suspicious. Is it possible that the brother might have said something that could be problematic for the narrative? Or this kid? Does this kid have some kind of knowledge or evidence of his dad working with the CIA? Or is this just leverage to be able to use to lean on dad so that he doesn't talk about anything he's not supposed to? But then again, who knows? There's a lot of creepy fucking perverts in this world, and just imagine you're some federal agent that's going in to plant child porn on somebody's computer, only to realize that there's already a bunch on there, and they just be like, way to make my job easy for me, Dunsky. And tomorrow is the 7th anniversary of the Las Vegas shooting. It's the deadliest one in American history. But for some reason, you basically never hear it mentioned.
Think about it.
And now we also got a whole lot of people in Florida, Georgia, and southern Appalachia that are experiencing their own little grid-down SHTF situation, and it's looking like it's gonna take weeks and weeks and maybe even months for all these people to get their power restored. And as we're now about to enter October, the month of surprises, you just better hope that one of those surprises isn't a grid down for the whole country, because next to full-scale nuclear war, that's probably about the worst possible scenario. And what a lot of people are gonna figure out quick is that having some food stacked up for you and your family isn't gonna be enough, because chances are you're gonna have a bunch of people in your immediate area that, even though it's their own fucking fault, they find themselves helpless and lost, and yet somehow entitled to what you've got. This is why I had suggested way back getting a supply of food together to be able to feed your neighbors. The cheap staples like rice and beans, pasta and flour. There's a reason why soup kitchens became popular during the Great Depression, because it's the most cost-effective way of feeding a large number of people. And flour is relatively cheap, and you can make some pretty decent bread on a propane grill. You don't need one of those fancy bread makers that became so popular during the pandemic. But even more urgent and desperate than the need for food is going to be the need for water. You die of dehydration in a fraction of the time it takes to starve. I have an Alexa Pure and it's a great little water filter, but it's not going to be able to handle the amount I would need for my neighbors. But for between $15 and $100, depending on how cheaply you can get activated charcoal, you can make your own. All you need is 2 5-gallon buckets, 1 lid, a spigot, although technically you don't even need that, and then some sand and some activated charcoal. All I did was drill a spigot hole in the bottom bucket, drill a drain hole in the middle of the top bucket, and then I put a microfiber towel and started layering sand, charcoal, sand, charcoal, sand, charcoal. Now this isn't going to clean water nearly as well as my Alexa Pure, but especially for chlorine treated water, like if you have a rain barrel, you're going to want to put some pool shock in there to keep algae and all that other nasty shit from growing in the water, and then you can use this to filter the chlorine out. And you'll be able to do it in a volume that can handle way more people. Or if you have access to a swimming pool, there's a nice big reservoir of chlorine-treated water. And if you have any kind of warlord aspirations, then this is literally going to be step 1. People are going to be looking up to you to be able to provide food and water, and if you can't, they will turn on you. When I started this channel, I never really intended it to be a prepper type of channel, but sometimes I just found myself not being able to resist the temptation to throw out little tidbits of information. They say knowledge is power, but it's really not. Knowledge is just information. It's a tool, but if you don't act on it, then it does you no good. So I'm just trying to throw some actionable information out there, because as you may or may not know,
it's like the Major always says.
Information is ammunition.
But it's still up to you to pull the trigger. Slancha.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night. To the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. Come on.
Don't fuck with me! I told you!